G'day, everybody! How's it going out there? Well, another Anthrocon is come and gone. Actually, I'm a month late with this, but it is what it is. So usually we would do our mid-year sort of covering of the attendance rates and things like that. It sounds like this year's Anthrocon went a little bit better than last year. Not as much online situations. Maybe it's a little bit of that things have gone better, or maybe it's that social media landscape has improved and is less toxic now that furries have sort of moved fully over to to the blue skies rather than to the X. Obviously, there was one issue that got a lot of attention. That was somebody who was in the parade who shouldn't have been, who was a person who was already banned from the convention and snuck in. But those kind of things are going to happen. So not going to mention too much about that individual. Just know that they were not invited. But they invited themselves, and that's what tends to happen. Obviously, a big topic of concern was the parade itself. Apparently, from what I've heard, because ironically that person I told you that was talking to other people last year was doing that again this year. The staff seemed to think it went rather well, and that it was a lot more easier to manage, and that a lot of the changes they put into place helped a lot with the situations that went bad last year. So don't think that the rules are going to change back anytime soon. But at least now you'll know a whole entire year in advance, which is probably the best part about it. Anyway, the Anthrocon has maintained its lead as the largest furry convention now for the second year. I should say it's maintained it. It was almost overtaken by Furry Weekend Atlanta, but obviously Midwest Fur Fest is going to happen this year, so we'll see what happens after that. If Anthrocon maintains it, or if somehow Midwest takes back their crown this year. It's the rat race, but the rat race is slowing down. There's a bit of a breather going on here. Mostly because I think that, the COVID times are now about 5 years past. Actually, technically about 3 years past when things are actually started to get back to normal. Or things started at least not get back to normal as per get back to the way they normally have been going. Are like people opening things up and vaccines, people being vaccinated and whatnot. So, but there has been a slowdown, and this is the chart over here. It's stage left, but you're right. So that's the interesting part about standing up and doing this. I will talk. Oh, you might be wondering where I am. I'll talk about that in a moment. But as you can see here, Anthrocon is still the top thing. Furry Weekend Atlanta is really chomping at getting up there, and Midwest Fur Fest is great. So the top three conventions are really solidified in their position. The fact that they're in different seasons, I believe, helps a lot, and I think that they are in three pretty good seasons that are usually times when people would take their vacations, spring break-ish area in May, right? Or end of school season in May. Now, Furry Weekend Atlanta's got that working against it, maybe. It's not so much a vacation week, but it's in the spring. Anthrocon's in the summer. And Midwest Fur Fest is obviously in the month of Christmas. So they're pretty good separated. They have good spacing. I suspect that these three will remain top for a long time, especially because of, once again, stage left. The gap between the top three and everyone else. I did update this chart to have the new, basically the ones coming off there. So we have Eurofriends and that. You know what'll help? What I can do to help this is I can move this over here. So when I'm looking at and trying to zoom in my face to it, I'm doing it live, all right? So shush. So see, now I'm looking at it when I look at it. That's my fault. lessons learned. Anyways, as you can see, you have Eurofrints back on the charts. Biggest Little Fur Con is no longer on the chart. So, Megaplex is the fourth, is now the distant fourth. But as you can see, as far as the top leaders are going, there's a bit of a slowdown, particularly for Anthrocon. I think a little bit that has to do with how crazy it was last year. So I think some of the people who, that naturally deters people when it's really crowded and really busy more than they expected it to be, might have given them cold feet to go back next year. But the people who missed last year because it was so busy that year, came in. And so, I think that had a little bit to do with that pullback, because it is more significant statistically currently than Furry Weekend Atlanta's pullback, which is a very, very tiny growth distance. But anyways, that's basically it. I think, obviously, even if Midwest Fur Fest follows projections, because that current line for 2025 is a projection, even if it followed its projections, Anthrocon would still be in first place. So it would have to grow more than expected, more than it growed between 2023 and 2024 to reach the level it is going to be in 2025 to go beyond Anthrocon. So I think Anthrocon I think it's going to be safe to say that at the end of the year, it could be maintain its position for the second year in a row. So hopefully everybody who went enjoyed their time and didn't have too much stress, and have had time to relax since then, since we're now in late July. But anyways, let's talk about more where I am right now. Where am I? So this went up rather quickly, I gotta say, and I was kind of impressed at how quickly it went up. But it's a VR world that was posted by Photographer, because Photographer went to Anthrocon this year, and and it's basically Anthro 2025 3D photo world. It's right there. Stage left. Now I'm looking at stage left, so now I know where to look. But it's basically a public 3D photo gallery. It's obviously not. It's not like it's the architecture isn't breathtaking or anything, but it works, and I'm surprised it got up so freaking quickly. It's a lot of white walls, but there's a lot of photos around that you can take a look at. The photos are the thing you come for anyway, not the architecture. Not the architecture. It's a little too early for architecture. But there's a cool little 3D effect, and you cannot see it in this view, because right now I'm in photo mode, and photo mode actually doesn't capture the 3D effect. But my headset does, and if I turn off camera mode and go, if I unplug my camera here, or unplug the camera, turn off the VR streaming camera, it will show you the 3D effect. So I will take a look around this one a little bit, and take a look around this room, and do a quick little run around. But obviously you should come and visit this world yourself. I will put a link in the description to the place that tells you where to go. And with that, kick a like, kick the subscribe button, kick a comment in the comment section, and I'll see you guys next time. Stick around for just a little look around the place. So, not that camera, this camera. Turn that off. There we go. So you can see, oops, gotta turn that off. I think it works. I don't know if you can see the 3D effect. Actually, you can't. Darn. Oh well. But basically, for instance, when you look through the window for this, the guy over here in these three center things kind of are pushed a little bit forward, whereas everything else is in the background. If you turn your head a little bit, it has a little 3D effect. But it wasn't the camera that's the issue. It's me recording it that's the issue. So I lied because I am not a photographer and I don't know how any of this works. But I think the cool thing, is that I believe this is an actual 360 view of this particular area. Oh, the photographer took a photo of the fellow photographer. Fellow photographer was behind me the whole time. And then so they took like a 3D photo. Obviously, these were not taken simultaneously, unless like it was. I don't think so. I think it like he looked at this thing. This guy took a pose for a photo. He looked over here, because every time everyone's looking at him straight on, at the photographer. But anyways, so as you can see, I moved out of this position here, and there are flat photos out here. And basically, there's another like 360 one here. Well, actually, no, this one isn't 360. This one has some room stuff in between it. Whoa, that one's really 3D. The fursuit one's really pop. Yeah, we'll be able to tell if there's a difference here. Yeah, I don't see any difference. Yeah, so you'd have to come and experience it for yourself. But yeah, so this is a large, like, this is the Saturday room, one of the Saturday rooms. As I said, the architecture is not sure home about, but it's really just a stand-in for what it needed. I'm surprised this was put up like literally, really close to the end of Anthrocon. Like this guy must have put in some nights. Also, Iggy here needs a kidney, which for a photographer who's donated. Photographer's already donated one. He can't donate another one. So obviously this furry is looking for it. Now this furry has been done much for performances. He worked with the Who's Line group. So obviously help him out if you can. Spread the word if you can. But basically this is the lobby. This is where you'll start. There's multiple rooms that you can go into. There's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Thursday. Thursday doesn't have much, as you can tell. Then you got this area's got some of the people looking around the 3D things. And the funny thing is like the 3D thing has a 3D thing, but the 3D thing has a 3D effect. The 3D effect has a 3D effect. It's insular. It's meta. This is Sunday. And there's like a whole map here. I'm not going to walk around the whole thing especially since the 3D effect doesn't work. I guess that's how that works or how you would have to use it and other things. It works on the index. I don't know what the technical stuff is for other things that would work. So Friday's one room, Thursday's one room, Sunday's one room, and Saturday is like 3 rooms that are like right next to each other. I didn't go to that big room, so to conclude, I'll probably go to that big room. Obviously, the pictures and stuff like that can get a little bit crowded too. Yeah, there it is. There's also music playing on the server, but it's royalty. It is the royalty-free like 30s music, but like this is like the club. Okay, so that's why this is in this room. So the very end of the Saturday one is like the nighttime dance parties and stuff like that. I like how they have like the nighttime / like darker like pictures inside of like a grayer thing. It's almost like this person who made this room is a photographer and knows how lighting impacts each other. Almost. Anyways, you can come here and take a look around. As I said, the link will be in the description. And thank you guys very much for watching. Exit. Stage left. Stage left. Convince the Murgatroyd. Anyway. End card.